Rust is a harsh environment. It's a harsh game. It's very jarring if you're not ready for it. Yeah, I think I referenced Coco because I've known him since he was like 15.
Right.
And we did not start out on a good foot when he was 15. He was a little
Don't you know who that is? I'm a fan. No, this goes to hell.
What a loser, dude.
But and he knows that. He'll admit it. But over time, he has grown to be one of my favorite people.
What's something that you're most excited about for Rust's future, just writ large?
Well, I think
Ladies and gentlemen, today on Easy Chat, we have Errn, the official community manager for Facepunch and the game of Rust. Errn, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So right off the bat, if you're familiar with the show, you'll know I love to start with asking the guests, how did you discover the game of Rust?
Yeah, it's very long ago, but if I recall correctly, it was just a buddy of mine asking me if I wanted to come try this new survival game that just popped on Steam. And so we both picked it up. It was like $9 because it was early access or whatever. And we didn't have a great time. Like, we played it for an afternoon and we didn't have a great time with it. And I just kind of like logged out and didn't really think about it much again. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Kraken. He's really good at meme videos. I don't know what he does these days. I haven't been keeping up with him, but there was this video by Kraken, and it was just like some video about a naked assault man or something. And it was, at the time, one of the funniest videos I had ever watched. And it really kind of breathed life into my interest into the game again. And so I grabbed Jeff and I got a couple of other friends to pick it up, and we started just actually like trying this time. We were going to give it more than like an afternoon. So, and back then, you know, I think the total player count was like 9,000 players, like total.
Wow.
Your average server had 25 people on it.
Jeez.
So it wasn't necessarily the battlefield that it might feel like these days. It was a little bit of a softer start. It was a little harsher conditions in terms of, you know, we don't have the tools we have now, like teams or skins to skin each other to look the same or any of that stuff. So it was a bit of a trade-off, but yeah, we started playing it a whole bunch, and it just kind of stuck, and it blossomed into, there was a situation we were playing on some random server, and the admin was, he was abusing, and like, he was literally like admin abusing to the definition, right?
Right.
And I was like, all right, well, we're not going to play on this server anymore. It's fine. We'll just find a different server. And that just kind of like spiraled into me wanting to do better for the server side of things. And so I started, I met some people that ran a server, and I started helping them out with like adminning and stuff like that. Just keeping the server clean. If somebody was saying dumb stuff in chat or cheaters were a bad thing back then. I mean, not that they aren't now, but anyway. And that just kind of blossomed into me opening when Legacy merged into what it is now. I think it's still called experimental on some of the branches. Until I ended up opening my own server. It started out with like 30 players. I rented it from like some managed host for like $27 a month. You know, I had a couple of friends throw me $5 every once in a while just to help out with the server hosting. And fast forward many years, and now I have all of the RustyMoose servers and a career with Facepunch.
Oh, hell yeah.
That's awesome. That's very cool.
Yeah, that was sorry, I might have gotten ahead of myself. Sorry, do you want to ask more questions?
No, you're good. That's funny. So the first server, I'll tell you this is pretty funny. The first server we played on PC was RustyMoose US main, because Harry and I come from console Rust. We were console gamers and we played console Rust for it had to have been like 2 years maybe. And so it was me, Harry, our buddy Mountain Shack, and our buddy HQ and Pablo all decide we were going to buy PCs together and that we were going to go play the real Rust, right?
The real Rust.
The real Rust. Because quite a few of us watched a lot of YouTube. Mountain Shack watched a lot of Sebi K, Sir Winter stuff. I was a big Stevie fan. And we watched all these people play, and a lot of creators will be like, I'm on this server or whatever. I hopped on this server on a Tuesday, whatever. And I'd always seen RustyMoose in a lot of videos. And I was like, clearly, this has to be a great server. And it is a good server. I'll caveat that. But holy crap.
If you like chaos, it's a great server.
We were not prepared.
No.
It was brutal.
Yeah.
Brimlocked for a month.
I'm right there with you, bud.
Yeah.
I don't play on my own servers because they're too chaotic for me, my own self. If that tells you anything.
I need one of those 30 pop servers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a problem playing 30 pop servers. And in the 30 pop servers defense, there's a lot of PvE in Rust now. So there's still quite a bit you can do without getting shot from somebody's roof 300 meters out,
Yes. That was a hard lesson to learn because I thought we were very good on console, and I was like, man, we're gonna wreck it on PC. And no, we got wrecked.
Yeah. It's brutal. But it was an interesting experience. It was definitely a baptism by fire. As our friend Stan calls RustyMoose US main, the Olympics.
Yeah.
Yeah, very funny though. That's very cool.
The Olympics, if you were Sparta Olympics, kind of.
Yeah,
The original.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The Olympics, but with much higher consequences if you don't place.
Yes.
Yeah. So, you went from pretty quickly into, server ownership, running servers and stuff. What, if you could kind of talk to kind of like your preferred play style and how that maybe has evolved over the years, going from legacy into, modern Rust, and kind of how you like to play the game.
Yeah, I honestly would probably say it hasn't changed much. I think what has changed is the wide variety of things that I can do now where I couldn't before. I've always kind of gravitated towards don't take anything too seriously. Gear fear, don't worry about it. We'll go prim if we have to. But I like to make disco helipads and, just making a patio with like disco balls and flashy lights and stuff on it so the neighbors can, maybe kill us or not. I don't know. We'll see. And pool parties. And, I like to do, the style that I gravitate towards are kind of like, I think you guys are familiar with Rainbirds and Chrissy. They kind of
Absolutely.
just make everything, they put a fun spin on everything. They don't take anything too seriously in terms of like getting pissed off if they die. They make cool boats. They make cool buildings. They are very welcoming to new players. And that's the stuff that I love to see because Rust is a harsh environment. It's a harsh game. It's very jarring if you're not ready for it.
Right.
And some people might not adhere to that. It has very, very, very high highs and very low lows, and it's, you kind of have to be prepared for that mentality going into it. Otherwise it could kind of, I don't know, it might turn you off of the game and you never launch it again.
Yeah. It's definitely the definition of a survival game.
Yeah. Well, with Battlefield, I think a little now. But yeah, my play style is go with the flow. If we built in a spot that's too sweaty, cut your losses, build in another spot. We got raided. Do we quit for the weekend? Do we rebuild or do we change servers? Like, I don't care about any of that stuff. Like, I just want to play with my friends, and my friend group that I do play with has somewhat of the same mentality. We actually prefer to hop on a server that wiped, 2 or 3 days ago, and we'll just like grub a little bit and like go through decayed bases or something that was already rated, and just grub and be like little degens,
Right.
and not have to care so much about everything, because I think that's where a lot of people get tied up. They take it too seriously, and then it becomes an emotional investment, and that's when keyboards break and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, it's kind of, and you have different people who go through their arcs of they start out, they're new to Rust, and they probably have some duration of it. You could probably overlay this on hours people have in the game, where they go through that sweat lord phase, and then eventually, it's like most of the people you see who get past a certain threshold are just very chill, kind of like you talked about, Chrissy and Rain, like that laid back. They're very good at the game, but they just have sort of this zenness about them, and when it comes to how they play and approach it.
Yeah, exactly. I think
So-
into a lot of people's credit that have, the 15,000, 20,000 hours in Rust, when you've been playing the same game for that long, you do get emotionally invested, whether you want to admit it or not. It's just human nature. And at the same time, you might still be trying to play Rust like you did 5, 6 years ago, and it's not the same Rust that it was 5 or 6 years ago. And if you don't pivot, if you don't try to rethink how you play Rust, you might get stuck in a rut. You might get stuck in that mentality where everything sucks and you're just mad all the time, and like, why do I keep playing this game? And you keep coming back, but you question why. And I think the people when that happens to people, they need to kind of like take a step back and maybe rethink how they're playing. Maybe care less. I know that's a hard thing to say. That's easy to say, a hard thing to do. But I think there's a lot of psychological layers to playing Rust for that long.
Right. We were. I was just gonna say. So right now we're in the midst of the Faultline event that Jack and them are hosting. With
Yes.
Crazy mapped, all underground. It's really awesome. It's our first RP event that we have ever gone to. The three of us here. So it is interesting. It's very different. And Ithaca and I were talking to Jack just this morning about it. He was just kind of asking, like, what do you guys think about the event? Yada yada. And it is. I like this approach of kind of going all in for a weekend and just going all at it, and then taking a little break. And that's kind of where I'm at with Rust right now, where it's like, instead of the daily, the constant grind, the week in, week out wipe every time, it's like, hop on, go all in for a couple of days, and then take a little break. And I think that's kind of where I'm at the moment.
That's honestly a great approach to it as well, because I think it's healthy to take breaks from a game like Rust. It does have some emotional baggage that comes with it. So if you're playing it every single day forever till we all die, then I think it's healthy to change it up once in a while. Go play something else in between wipes or something. It's good for your brain space.
So you talked about your friend group that you like to play with. I want to talk a little bit about kind of your current life as a Rust player. What you usually play in, like a small group, and then if you talk a little bit about the types of servers you guys play on, not necessarily the server, but just kind of like what types you guys like, and just overall, do you actually have that much time to game these days, or are you just really busy with a lot of the community management?
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Admittedly, I haven't been playing quite as much as I probably would like to over the last maybe year or two. My role at Facepunch has kind of grown into wearing multiple hats. I head up a lot of the events and Twitch drops and kick drops and all that stuff now, whereas a few years ago I did not. So it's a slow drip all day, every day. And so when Rust is your work and your hobby, because I've got the servers, you go work and hobby and play, you tend to get burned out a lot quicker. So I have made a point to maybe play Rust a little bit less because I know that that's good for my headspace. But to go back to your original question, I usually play with a pretty small group. It's like 5 people, and 2 of them are dads, so they're AFK all the time. And it's just like, it's not a giant group. We usually don't get very far. We're usually, tier 2.
Right.
We usually get stuck around tier 2 before everybody has real life stuff to go mess with. So, like I said, we don't really take anything too seriously. And it's a really good group for that. For me, I think we all kind of jive together in that kind of mentality. If somebody has to AFK, nobody's mad about it. If somebody goes out and dies and loses our only SAR, nobody's mad about it. Just, we'll find another one. It's fine. It's just loot. It's just pixels, right?
Yes.
But we usually, honestly, I usually play on Facepunch servers.
Okay.
As weird as that sounds.
Repping the home team.
Yeah, repping the home team. But, I try and play some of the smaller community servers too, just because I like to support them, because, that's kind of, where I started. And I like to support some of the smaller communities in that regard. However, I run into problems. Some of them have like constraints for me being flagged as a developer. Some of their plugins and things like that on their servers will interfere. And I can either not even hit a tree and farm wood at all because they've got it on lockdown, or I have access to all of their admin tools that are hotkeyed, and like I'm accidentally teleporting to the center of the map while I'm kitted. I'm on somebody's roof all of a sudden, like I don't know how I'm there, and it gets a little weird. So I try to stay away. I have a few trusted ones that I know that won't have that kind of chaos for me, but yeah, for the most part, I stick to the Facepunch servers.
That's got to be frustrating. You're in the middle of something with a limited time because everybody's going off in a little bit, and then you get teleported somewhere else.
Yeah, I feel bad now because at the time I thought the admins were messing with me. I thought the admins were teleporting me to them because they wanted to be funny, and I was like legitimately trying to play Rust, and I was getting pissed off.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I was cursing and stuff in chat. I'm like, what the heck is going on? And I even clipped it, and I'm like, stupid admin, what was the title of my video and stuff. And then I realized, I don't know, it probably took me an hour to realize what was going on. And it was a hotkey that that I didn't know existed.
Oh my.
For one of their admin commands. And I was doing it to myself. I just didn't even know it. And I felt bad. I'm like, I'm sorry, dude.
Jeez.
Let's disable that for me, please.
It's too funny. That is interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm just taken back by that because I didn't realize that there was I guess that makes sense because there's implications basically tied to your account.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I have to. I'm very on the rails, so to speak, in terms of how I play. And, there's been a couple of times where I've had to stop playing because I had to go to another server and check out a big cheater situation. For example, they've got this huge base. They keep rebagging in cheaters. We need to make the base go away, all that stuff. So it usually takes about an hour to investigate something like that and get all the Steam IDs together and all that stuff. So I had to log, go to a different server. And in that process, I have to put on God mode and I have to do a few different things. And then when I'm done doing that, I go back, I'm playing, I forget to turn God mode off, and I'm roaming and I am not dying. Somebody's shooting me in the face and I'm not dying. And when situations like that happen, you feel terrible, first off. And because you don't realize that it's already happened until somebody's screeching at you, either in voice or in text, like cheater or admin abuse or whatever they're assuming that it is. And when that happens, you kind of have no choice but to just kind of take the L. I turn off God mode and I F1 kill right at their feet. And I'm like, dude, I'm sorry. That wasn't, I didn't mean to do that. It was a mistake. Like, take all my stuff. It's fine. Like, because let's be honest, I can't hit the broadside of a barn. They were going to win that fight anyways. So I'll just hand it to them. That's fine. But yeah, I think, I mean, in general, we're only human, right? And, you know, we've all kind of made mistakes from time to time in the admin space with, you know, similar things like that. And as long as you kind of own up to it and be transparent about the mistake and try and make it right, I think everybody's going to be fine with it.
Right.
That's pretty cool that you are able to admit it and just F1 kill right there. But I would troll them a little bit. Like,
I know. I see. You know, I don't troll other players because they tend to take their gameplay very seriously. My own teammates, though, may randomly die from Easter eggs falling out of the sky. I don't know who did it. It's not me. That's happened quite a bit, actually.
I'm gonna need you to find a server we're playing on and just kill one of us randomly one time.
Okay, deal. There was a time where I accidentally killed our tier 3. And it was sandwiched in between so much stuff. And you know how sometimes, like, when you upgrade a wall that's like so close to a deployable, like sometimes you can't replace the deployable where it was before.
Right.
That was our situation. I killed the tier 3, and we hadn't had it very long. So we didn't have scrap to replace it just yet. And I was like, my bad, guys. I guess I'm farming for the rest of the afternoon.
That's my cue to AFK.
Yep. Grandma got her hand caught in the microwave again, guys. I gotta go. Oh man. So I want to dive into the Rust community a little bit here. So this is something that really interests us and one of my favorite topics to talk about with guests. I wanted to get kind of just writ large your perspective on the community as a player first, and then maybe if you have any different lenses you look at it as the community manager.
Yeah, there's a couple of layers to that. As a player, I don't really have a sentiment about it. I think other than the fact that, you know, as you guys have probably noticed, Rust has evolved into a little bit more than just a survival game. It's got a few different layers to it now, and it's got a few different I would say a billion different play styles that you can kind of harbor. But it's as a player, I think people maybe take it a little too seriously. I think I'm going back to a conversation that you guys had with Jennifer. She mentioned that there's not a lot of interaction anymore, like there used to be. There's not a lot of like joking around with your neighbors. It's just all out psychopath war from dawn till dusk. There's not a lot of interaction anymore, and that makes me sad. I wish there was a little bit more, you know, neighborly banter, or, you know, just teaming up with your neighbors to go get that guy that's being a psychopath. And none of that really happens anymore. I mean, maybe it doesn't. I just haven't seen it myself as of late. But I'd say the last few years has kind of become a little bit more of a war zone instead of a, you know, interactive survival side of things. But as a community manager, that can translate into just pure passion. I see people all the time giving us feedback on certain aspects of the game, whether it's good or bad. And, you know, and I've said this a couple of times before, we have to be good at translating the screech, if that makes sense.
Right.
Because it does, at the end of the day, it comes from a place of passion. They are very invested into the game. They love the game. They have 15,000 hours in the game. They might be burned out on it, but their feedback is still valid.
Right.
So we have to kind of take a step back and be translators of the all caps fixture in game, you know, and kind of like dive into why do they feel that way? What does this really mean? And just kind of, like I said, we have to be translators of that type of feedback, because there will, you know, it's your knee-jerk reaction to somebody all capsing you, swearing at you to fix your game with no real info.
Right.
You want to clap back. You want to be like, why don't you calm down, Karen? You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we do have fun with banter. I can say, you know, Facepunch as a whole, most of us that do interact on socials with the players, we do have a certain level of banter with most of them. Like, you know, Sinks can tweet something edgy and I can just reply with "I hate you," and you know, and then people spin off of that, you know.
Right.
And you know, so there is a lot of banter between at least me and like a lot of our creators, and some of our regular players too. Ones that have been around forever that I kind of know on a first name basis. But from my perspective, like, I'm a little older, so I think I might approach things a little differently. I also kind of grew up in an era where we kind of raised ourselves. And so I am not sensitive to the sensitives, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't do well with the whole coddling, kind of hand holding.
Yes.
I state facts and they tell me I'm rude, and it's just like, okay, all right. You know, this, at the end of the day, this is Rust. It's thanks for the feedback.
Yeah.
Right.
You can't tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's but yeah, like I said, it all comes from a place of passion, so we still have to take it in, and we do definitely listen to the community. There's been probably more changes than they know about that have come from the community. But you know, I have this meme that I come back to all the time. I don't know if you guys have seen my Rust blame flowchart. Where
I haven't.
Okay, well, it's basically a flowchart, and it's like who's ruining Rust, and then there's like role players, and then there's like the guy with hashtag Beamer Rusty Pot in his username, and then there's the creators, and like it just kind of flows down through a couple of like very true memes where the role players are just having fun. And the streamers don't know what day it is and haven't slept in 36 hours. Please fix night. And then there's the Beamer group that are still angry about recoil. So it's just I refer back to it. I'll send it to you guys after we're done,
please
so you
do,
can see it. But yeah, it's a you have to let it roll off. You can't take anything too seriously, especially in the gaming industry as a whole. It's a very volatile industry. I am very fortunate that Facepunch is led by a very amazing group of people that have kept us kind of afloat through a lot. I mean, you see AAA companies, you know, issuing layoffs that lay thousands and hundreds of people off in one day. And it's like, you know, you get a little bit paranoid because the industry itself is so volatile, and some gaming genres are very oversaturated. So you don't know how the game is going to perform. You don't know if people are going to love it. And it only takes a couple of giant streamers to dog it. And now suddenly everybody hates it because they can't think for themselves. So it's just, like I said, I'm very thankful that Facepunch is very much has a coherent, sober captain behind the helm, because it's much of our success has been because of the decisions they've made.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I mean, basically, I think what I hear you saying is like there's signal and then there's noise, and pulling the signal out of the noise of what people are saying, because it does come from a place of passion, as you said, but it's all about eloquently communicating your your criticisms and doing it in a way that can be constructed and at least deconstructed, if nothing else, so that we can figure out like, okay, like not everything you're saying is useful or we care or it's even quite frankly right, but you know, you can in the aggregate kind of figure it out and makes perfect sense.
Well, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you make a game because you want people to play it and you want as many people as possible to play your game because that's why you make it, right? So if we didn't make a lot of these changes that addressed newer players, like when we first introduced the team system, the team UI, there was a lot of pushback from the current player base. We don't need that. Why are you catering to role players? Why are you catering to new people? We don't like it. And now, in current day, we made them a hardcore version of Rust that doesn't have team UI, that doesn't have the same map situation, that doesn't have the same progression, and they didn't play it because they missed those things. They missed those quality of life things that we have implemented over the years. So there's an argument can be made there that sure, maybe you have a point. Like Rust is Rust. Let's keep Rust. But at the same time, like what is Rust really? Like it's ever evolving, 13-year-old game, and it's definitely not the same as it was when it launched. And it might not be for some, but I would wager that if somebody gave it the time required to get good at it, they would love it. So the fact that we have maintained like top 5 and top 10 on Steam charts for the last 13 years kind of validates our worry that maybe we're doing too much or maybe we're making it too easy because, like I said, at the end of the day, you want people to play your game. It's not about trying to hold yourself back because there's a loud portion of the community voicing their opinions on upcoming changes. Like at the end of the day, you still have to make the game that you intended to make, and the people will come if it's good.
Yeah.
Right. Building a broad coalition. And yeah, I think that's exactly, I can't remember which guest we were talking with this about, but that's exactly what I said was that as like looking at Facepunch and how the game has performed, I would argue that they have made the right decision when faced with making any, big controversial decision. So it's 100%, 100, 1,000. Yeah,
and anytime we do add something, I mean, you'll probably have noticed a pattern by now, maybe not, but when we add something major, when it comes to like something combat related or loot related, we usually kind of make it overpowered in the beginning. Because at the end of the day, if you don't make it enticing to use, you're not going to get that solid sample of, user feedback and data that you need to see if you made it overpowered or underpowered or if it's just right. So our mentality with stuff often, depending on what it is we kind of make it overpowered in the beginning, and that entices people to use it. And then we get a great sample and great feedback and, great like bug reports. If the more people that are using something, the better we can make it. Right. So like this kind of goes to the staging side of Rust, which is our, like the beta of Rust really. So that's where all the changes go before they go live. And we try and entice people and coerce them to go play staging like a couple of weeks before update, because that's where we're going to get feedback. But the sad part is people want to play real Rust all the time. So our staging servers usually only harbor about 30 people. And while those 30 people are very valuable to us, it doesn't, not all of them really make it to the stages sometimes of whatever we're adding. They don't get that far before they are off doing something else. So that's kind of why if you notice something is added and it's just like, well, this is way too OP, they need to nerf this. It was kind of done with intention.
Right. The most recently, like the Deep Sea, for example.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Nice. Okay. That makes sense. Makes perfect sense. By the way, I want to ask what gets your prescription on this, or diagnosis rather, excuse me. What do you think it is that makes the Rust community both so passionate and also very chaotic in their nature?
Oh, that's a good question. Is it a good question or a bad question? I don't know how to answer it.
Yeah.
I think what's unique about Rust is, on paper, if you were to try and sell me a game that wiped all of your progress once a month and you had to start over clean, considering how many hours it took to get to end game or whatever, especially if you're not like a Chad, I would tell you that you're insane. Because it doesn't, on paper, it doesn't make any sense, right? It's like, why would that be your structure for a survival game that's so hard to get to end game? I mean, I guess for some people it's not hard to get to end game, but for the vast majority, it takes them a little bit to at least get there.
Us included.
And there's a lot of people that never get there, you know? So, but I think what makes Rust unique, and I've kind of like, have you guys seen that game that's coming out by Jeff Kaplan's team?
Yes.
The California one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he takes a lot of inspiration from Rust. He loves Rust. He's got like 8,000 hours in Rust or something. We love Jeff. So he was explaining to people on like a dev stream one day that they're going to have a similar cadence to like map wipes as similar to Rust. And people that didn't come from Rust that were watching this and get it and seeing his plan for the game, there's like a million comments on there like, who's going to play this game? Who's going to play this game if they're wiping your progress all the time? And then like, I go in there from the Rust account and I'm like, who's going to tell them? You know? Yeah. But the thing with the wipes, yeah, the thing with Rust wipes is, sure, there's probably a negative feel to it, but at the same time, I think the vast majority look forward to it because it's a whole different playthrough. Like Rust doesn't have like a storyline, right? There's not quests. I mean, sure, there's like little missions here and there, but in terms of like story progression or any sort of like on the rails progression, it's different every time you play. Right. It's a new map. It's a new spot that you build. It's new neighbors. It's, you know, maybe it took you 2 days to get to tier 2, whereas, you know, last wipe you zoomed. And every time that you come back and play Rust, it's different. And I think that's what makes it beautiful in terms of keeping people coming back.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. I mean, I think of, like, obviously right now, there's all the hype and talk about new Grand Theft Auto coming out later this year. I think about that game, for example, that I grew up playing all the Grand Theft Autos, Grand Theft Auto 3, Vice City, you know, all of that. And I love those games so much. But at the end, once you have all the cash, all the weapons, all the properties, it's quite boring. I'll log on, I'll run around for a little bit, and then I'll get very bored. End game is very similar in Rust. When you've got all the rockets, you got the box full of guns. Like, yeah, it's fun to go raid some people, but like it gets pretty boring. So the fact that I'm able to come back to the game each time and have to build myself back up and go through that arc and progression, most of the time I don't get there. That's a whole nother story. But that really keeps the engagement and the drive high for the game. So definitely 100% agree with what you said there. And I think that's what makes the game interesting to me.
Yeah, it just gives people something to look forward to. You know, it's not just the rinse and repeat daily login to do your daily crafting or fill your TC or whatever. You know, like especially when you play with a large group, it's very easy to get to end game within a few days. And you've got this castle, and you've got SAM sites, and you've got, you know, all of the turrets around the outside of the base. Nobody's going to try and raid you. So what are you doing with your life? You know,
right?
Let's wipe your progress and make you do it all over again, right?
Yes.
For me, that's the best part of the game, is going to get the kits, going to farm for the boom.
Yep.
And That's the fear of, am I gonna die right now and lose everything that I have? Is
Yes,
the
you are.
adrenaline rush? Yes, yeah. Not am I, but when am I?
Yeah. It's not a matter of if, it's when.
Yeah, crucially. Um, I want to. I know you've told the story before, but I'd want it today for anyone watching this. If you could talk a little bit about the story and progression of you going from longtime player to, officially working at Facepunch in your community manager role. Like, how did that just, high level, how did that work?
Yeah, the evolution of it. Yeah, well, it started out just running my own servers, and I don't remember exactly how this part happened, but at one point I got invited to a very small Slack group of like 5 server owners and the Rust devs. And at the time there was like 4 of them, 5 of them. And I was kind of like starstruck, I guess, so to speak, but like also played it real cool, because I don't want them to think I'm a weirdo. Not going to be like a stage 5 clinger or anything.
Right.
So I played it cool. But it was a place where we could help the development of Rust from a server standpoint, because they had means to get player feedback. There's like options in game to report stuff. And we had a forum at the time where the players could go, but they didn't really have a good avenue to gather feedback for server side stuff. And so I got invited to that, and I sort of just started helping out with like bug reports. I would make like bug report tickets. I would find the bug. I was basically kind of light QA. Find the bug, attempt to reproduce it, and if I couldn't reproduce it, tell them what I did to try to reproduce it so they could try something different. And it was just like a relationship of just giving them feedback and getting a overall player sentiment over certain aspects of the game and kind of feeding that back to them that was more digestible for them. As like we talked before, a lot of player feedback comes in a not digestible format. So
Right.
So we kind of helped filter a lot of that stuff for them. And I don't remember what year this was, but I got a message from Helk on Discord,
Okay.
and he was like, "Hey, do you want to become an official server?" I was like, I almost started crying. Rust was my life. I played it and I ran servers like outside of my IRL job. That was all I did,
Right.
And I was like, at first I thought it was like a joke. I thought it was somebody trolling me with an account named Helk, right? And I was like, I need you to identify yourself because I don't believe this is real. And then quickly following, Alistair messaged me. And at the time, Holmesy was still with Facepunch, and he messaged me too. And then it all became real. So I got moved into the official. Me and a few other long-standing server owners got to move to the official list. I guess they kind of like kept an eye on us, and we were helping with stuff. They liked that, there wasn't a lot of admin abuse reports. They liked how we did things. So we were held to a different standard, and we were asked to be official servers. So that was my first step into sort of being a trusted individual, I guess. And then it's probably about a year later, Holmesy messaged me, and he was like, "Hey, like, what do you do for work right now?" And at the time I was doing like a work from home, like Best Buy job. I was doing like remote support. So I was like fixing people's printers and like antiviruses and, stuff like that. It was just like tier 1, tier 2 tech help for people that subscribed to it. And I told him, I told him what I did. And he was like, "Would you ever want to come do support for us?" And I was like, "I'd drop everything right now to come do support for you guys. However, is it paid?" he was like, "Well, right now, no." He was like, "I don't think there's quite enough traffic for it to be a full-time paid position yet." And I said, "I would absolutely love to, but I don't have the spare time. You know, I work 40 hours a week. I run the servers. You know, I still want to have a life. I said, so if this ever turns into a paid position, let me be the first person you come to, and I will 100%. And it was probably it probably lasted 4 months before he was back in my DMs asking me if I'd come do it for money this time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Rust was starting to grow. And,
Right.
you know, you went from, 6 to 12 support tickets a day to 30 to 60. And then it kept creeping. And so he messaged me and he was like, do you want to come do this now? And I was like, if it's paid, yes. And, we talked some salary stuff, and I was going, them being in the UK, I was going to lose like medical insurance and stuff through my current job.
Oh, yeah.
So there was, we had to negotiate some of that stuff, but I knew 100% that I was going to be 5,000 times happier working for something that I was passionate for, rather than just like getting yelled at by people that don't even know how to turn their computer off and on again. So, that night, there was no paperwork or anything. My contract was basically on a napkin. And he was like, okay, well, we're really backed up, so I'm going to get you set up on our Zendesk account tonight. He was like, I can't even get you an email yet, so we'll have to hook it up to your personal one. I hope that's okay. And he literally like set it up on my personal email, and he was like, good luck, have fun.
Oh, man.
Nice.
And then I proceeded for the next week and a half to get like hundreds of Zendesk emails to my personal email until we got an email address established and like contracts, all that stuff. But that was my foot in the door, was good luck, have fun. And I basically just did supporty stuff, mostly the Zendesk stuff, answering players, their games crashing or they got banned or, whatever the flavor is that was coming through that day. But when I started, we were getting an average of about 30 to 60 tickets a day. And nowadays we get 300 or so. Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, so anyway, I was doing support. I did support for 3 or 4 years. I don't know. Everything's a blur at this point. And there was an opportunity to expand the support team, and they offered me the lead spot to take over the support team, get it efficient, get it organized, get more people on board so we could have an actual 24/7 operation. And now I have 8 or 9 people on my team that do 24/7 either player support via the Zendesk or anti-cheat. They're checking reports, logging into servers, banning teammates, that kind of thing.
Right.
And then on top of that, I'm doing like the Twitch, all the Twitch events and creator events and stuff like that too.
That's awesome.
It's been a wild ride for sure. Yeah. And I wouldn't change a single bit of it.
I listened to your, I guess it was like an interview, on Kick Talk.
Yes, I remember that.
Yes, that was around, I think it was right before the first Kick event.
It was after. It was right after the first Kick event.
That's right. That was fascinating because we always do, guest research before we have a guest on, and that was a really interesting chat. People should definitely go check it out. But that was interesting. I learned a lot kind of about like what actually goes into your community management role. I'm sure there's tons more that you weren't even able to go into, but that was really fascinating at how kind of the interactions go with the creators and how involved they really are on the back end of a lot of stuff. Yeah.
My average day is just micromanaging like 70 DMs on Discord usually. Discord and Slack is my life.
Jeez. That's crazy. Yeah. That is interesting though. You said in that interview, like watching like certain creators come up from like basically being a kid to, young adults. That is wild. That always blows me away.
Yeah. I think I referenced Coco because I've known him since he was like 15.
Right.
And we did not start out on a good foot when he was 15. He was a little shit. But and he knows that. He'll admit it. But over time, he has grown to be one of my favorite people. But yeah, it's crazy watching a lot of these, and I call them kids because I'm old. But watching a lot of these kids grow up, and they've been streaming and playing Rust for 10 years now, and they are not the same people that they were when they first started. Like, look at Aiden, for example. Like, he started streaming Rust when he was like, I don't even think he was old enough to be streaming, but he was like 13. He was an actual child. So yeah, watching these kids grow up and being able to make a career out of Rust just kind of like warms my cold dead heart.
It is insane. It blows me away too sometimes when we are setting stuff up and talking to creators, and we've had a decent range of creators on the show so far. And yeah, I'm like, man, this person's like 10 years younger than me, and they're like 1,000 times more successful. Hats off to what they're able to build. They're some truly hard workers.
Amen.
Yeah. So, well, what's something that you're most excited about for Rust's future, just writ large?
Well, I think currently, if I had to pick one thing to be super duper excited about, is we actually are hogging up all of July and part of August for an official Facepunch charity event. So, as you guys have probably noticed, we support a lot of community-run charity events. There's been a lot of them, and tons of money have been raised through the Rust community as a whole. Rustified used to run charitable Rust. They did it every year for 7 or 8 years. It wasn't until recently that they took a step back because the production gets to be a lot, right? So I get it, but we are actually going to do our own charities now, where we kind of control the narrative. We work with Tiltify. Tiltify will work with us and make it so we can support multiple charities with one campaign, which is typically pretty hard to do the way Tiltify is laid out. You just have to pick a charity, and then that's who you're representing for your fundraiser. But we're supporting multiple charities. The two biggest ones that we are supporting this year is Cancer Research UK. We supported them last year too, with a lower level type of charity. We sold those plushies last year on the store. Well, we're doing that again this year. This is all going live next week with the update. So we're going to have plushie bears on the store again. We're doing Ronald McDonald House again. If you don't know, that they help house families for kids that are cancer level sick and have to stay at a specialty hospital for weeks, months. And Ronald McDonald House puts them up in housing near the hospital so they can, get that care that they need. So, it's going to really good charities. And we're going to have store items. We're going to have Twitch drops. We're going to get all the creators involved, as many as we can that, want to. So that's, right. It's been a long planning. We've been planning this for 6 months to try and get it off the ground. But yeah, we got some good Twitch drops coming up, and we actually have an auction too. Yeah, I can't talk about much more of that until it's all live next week. But yeah, watch our socials and stuff for that, because I think a lot of people will want to get involved with that. You can, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Tiltified or anything, but you can make your own team under the umbrella of the Facepunch charity, and then you have your own custom page, and you can get your viewers or your fans or whoever to kind of donate through your page, and then you have your own separate line item of how much money you and your team has raised. So it's kind of a cool thing. Some people make a little competition out of it. Let's beat Oil Rats in his charity total. That kind of thing.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah. So I mean, by the time people are watching this, all that should be out. This will come out next Friday. So if you're watching this, definitely go check all that stuff out. 100%. Where should people go if they want to check any of this stuff out or any of the content you put out?
My content has kind of diminished to memes on X. But in terms of charitable stuff, definitely just check out the PLAYRUST X handle. That's where we post literally everything. I mean, we have crossover accounts on Instagram and stuff too, but that's where the brunt of our stuff goes, is on X. And our dev blog, we have a dev blog that comes out first Thursday of every month with the update. It will have all of that information in there as well. You can look forward to seeing what kinds of Twitch drops we're going to have for the entire month, and like they're going to unlock with certain donation goals. So we have milestones, and when we hit milestones, we'll add a new drop to Twitch that people can earn. And you'll be able to earn those drops on any Rust channel. Anybody that's streaming Rust it'll be most of July, so you'll have ample opportunity.
Awesome. That's very cool. We will link that in the show notes. Errn, thank you so much for taking the time to come and speak with us today. We really appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me. It was great.
Thank you.
Easy Chat. We are out.